McLeod with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is Brien Lundin, editor of Gold Newsletter. Thank you for joining me today.
Great to be with you, Charlotte, as always.
Great. And we're here at PDAC.
Yes, we are.
It's the third day of the show. I wanted to ask if you've had a chance to get a sense of the mood.
Absolutely. And it's not much of a mood, frankly. You know, I've been telling people it's not overly high, it's not overly low, it's just kind of there in the middle. People are interested, they're walking around, they're talking to companies. Not a very high level of enthusiasm, but neither is it, you know, the 2015 where everybody's really depressed. So I think it's good, I think it's healthy, I think people are realistic about where we're going forward and looking for new opportunities, but we're not seeing any kind of euphoria yet. So it's probably a sign that it's a good time to invest. And we're probably not going to have much of a decline after PDAC, as we see quite often see.
Okay, good. So about where we should be.
I think so. I think so.
So you've been walking around, you've been talking to people. Could you tell me the most interesting pitch or idea that you've heard so far at the show? Yeah,
I actually saw one investor look at a deal that I'm personally involved in and say that there wasn't enough risk in it, and which I thought was really funny. I said, we can make as much risk as you like, but no, that was the first time in all my years in the business where I heard that. So that's just a little, you know, crazy thing that's way out of hand. But generally, everybody has, if you're in this business enough years, you tend to get the same kinds of pitches for the same companies. And there's even somebody that came up with a PDAC bingo. I don't know if you saw that. The terms, I thought that was hilarious. And it was absolutely right on.
Very funny. I think that many investors come to events like this hoping to get investment ideas and stock picks. What criteria do you use when you're choosing stocks?
Well, and everybody says it, so it's not, you know, really new and unique, but it's management. You know, you really want people who have been successful, people who know what they're doing, a good technical team, but at the same time able to promote the stock and get investors' attention on it. So that's the key element. And of course, after that, there's everything involved with the deposit, with the project, the target, all the geology. A lot of that just takes years of experience of being in this market to really know what to look for. So I advise people always to get education, subscribe to newsletters, buy reports, buy books, learn as much as they can, and kind of develop a personal network of people to bounce ideas off of.
Okay, that's perfect. Now, when we spoke last, you explained that to understand where gold is going, you really have to look at the US dollar, and that was what you were speaking about also here earlier. How have we been seeing the US dollar move so far in 2018?
Well, it recently had, it did first off what we thought it was going to do, what I thought it was going to do. It had a decline going from mid-December through January and continued a fairly long-term decline, and it has been running in a very close inverse correlation with the gold price for the last 2 years. So we expected that to continue, and in fact it did. Now it did have a counter-trend rally recently, or in February, and now it looks to me like it's about to continue that leg down. Around 90 on the dollar index, or 90.5 is a crucial technical level. It fell below that, it came back up and tested that resistance line from below, and now I think it's headed back down. I think the long-term target for it is the long-term support level for the dollar index at 72, which is very far below where we are. I think that'll take a couple of years to get there.
Okay. We now have Jerome Powell in charge at the Fed. I know there was some concern about the comments he made last week.
Yeah.
How do you see his leadership impacting the US dollar and then, of course, the price of gold?
I think he's going to be more frank, and I think we saw that. He's going to express that he's not that worried about the stock market, which is going to give stock investors some jitters and concern them, but I think it's a matter of just them getting used to it. More concerning, of course, is all the stuff with tariffs and Donald Trump and everything else. That, I think, has drowned out any of the concerns that we had about Jerome Powell for the moment. But going forward, I do think he's going to be more frank, and there will be a period of acclimation for investors.
Do you have any thoughts you could share on those tariffs?
I think they're a terrible idea. I think it creates uncertainty, which creates volatility in the markets. So there is a scenario in which gold can benefit from that. But I don't look at it as a long-term driver of gold prices. I think it's a long-term driver of uncertainty in the economy.
Okay. So previously, you've given us some good short-term gold predictions. We were speaking earlier, and you said that it's a little tricky to do the short-term predictions right now. Why is that?
Yeah, for one thing, the markets have been reacting or overreacting to headline events. Fed minutes, White House pronouncements, a lot of things. So we can't really predict what the headline is going to be. But not only that, the markets have been reacting in different ways than they have in the past to each new event. So we don't know how the market's going to react. We don't know what the news is. So it creates a lot of uncertainty for the near term.
Okay. Final question. What overall comment about gold or the resource space as a whole would you like to leave investors with as we head into the rest of the year?
I think this is going to be a good year for the metals. I think as we speak, we're seeing gold rebound. I think there's a natural upturn for the metals. It's been topsy-turvy so far this year. I think we're going to end up with more topsy than turvy going forward.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts again. Once again, I am Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and this is Brien Lundin of Gold Newsletter.